From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 23rd consecutive year. And, of course, seen exclusively right here on cleveland.com. I'm Les Levine. This is Bud Shaw, WKYC.com. Hello, Mr. Shaw.
Good to be with you, Les. It's a big night for baseball fans.
And that would be why?
And for Omar Vizquel fans. The Hall of Fame about to announce their 2019 class.
Well, you're saying good news for Omar Vizquel fans. What, would you know something I don't know?
No. I just mean it's an exciting night for fans of Omar who believe he belongs. I doubt that he will get enough votes
do you think
this time around, but I think eventually he will. Yeah, I do.
Well, you used to have a vote.
I did have a vote.
You've turned it away.
I did.
Explain. Every year at this time you explain it, so start explaining.
Well, sometimes it makes less and less sense to me as I try to explain it. But no, I always felt a little uncomfortable with being one of the people who helps decide something that important in a player's career.
Right.
But that said, I realize it's a Baseball Writers Association award, and I took it very seriously. I just started seeing less and less baseball on a daily basis. I thought it was more fair that that vote go to somebody who was watching more closely than I was. And also the steroid issue just became untenable to me. I don't know what exactly I want. Do I want the baseball writers to establish a criteria to decide how to handle those things from those votes from that era? I guess I do. Because to me, guys like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were clearly Hall of Fame caliber players before the steroid era started. I didn't feel that way about Sammy Sosa vis-a-vis Bonds, but I felt that way about Bonds and Clemens. But yet, you're not going to see those guys get in because a lot of writers think the opposite. That if they were suspected of using steroids, or pretty sure they did, they're not going to vote them in. But my point, I guess, is how do you know about some of the other guys that aren't suspected, that may have been using? You just don't know.
I hear that about when Jim Thome was inducted. You know, you say, well, how do we know whether he was clean or not? Well, you don't. But when you're around him, you sort of got to believe that he was clean.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the reasons we look at Mark McGwire and we say, look how thin he was, look how skinny he was when he hit 49 homers as a rookie or second-year player.
But he's in his early 20s then.
Yeah, but he was in his early 20s, and they go, well, now look at him. You know, Thome has sort of the same physique, right? Everybody does. To go from that young to an older player, if you're in the league long enough, you're going to look like you're bulked up.
But also in his case, if you saw his father, that you saw the same body.
Yeah, true. And I remember covering McGwire's home run chase, and I know that he didn't hide the andro; it was in his locker, and that's how somebody saw it. It wasn't like it wasn't like Balco happened, and that was the only reason you knew that Mark McGwire was using stuff. I mean, that stuff, in some cases, was available at GNC at the time. So, do you hold that against McGwire? People are going to.
Yeah.
You know, Clemens to me was one of the great pitchers of his era. Do you think he was a product of the steroid generation? I don't think so.
I don't think so. But then there's the situation where you've got the superstars, and that probably at the time saved baseball. I think the home run chase. I think. Yeah,
it was a big part of the appeal of the game.
But it was more to me. That the third string catcher on some team got caught. You know, a bunch of those guys got caught, because it was the difference between them making the majors or not making it. It wasn't the difference between hitting 60 home runs and 40 home runs.
But then in other cases we saw where a guy like, I don't want to say a marginal player, but an average player, Brady Johnson, right?
No, Brady Anderson.
Brady Anderson, I'm sorry. With the Orioles went from something like 15 homers to 50.
To 50. Yeah. And then the Indians got him, and he got back to 12.
So we know that it did have an effect. What we don't know is how many pitchers were using. You know, we always hear about the hitters.
Right.
Do we know if some of the pitchers were using just to help their recovery time between starts? I assume they were, right? More than Clemens?
Well, Clemens had a little outburst with Piazza, right?
Well,
that looked like roid rage.
There were some public displays of roid rage in that case. I was at the game when he threw the bat at him.
Right.
But I just...
Well, if his control was better, he would have hit him.
I got to a point where I just didn't feel confident in how to judge these guys as candidates.
Here's the other thing that's getting it. You know, you had the old time sports writers who would vote, and now you have the younger group that may not have seen some of these players, but they're attaching the new statistics to whether these guys were any good or not. There used to be one group of statistics, and that's what you live by. A guy hit 300, a guy hit 50 homers.
Yeah.
You know, now it's what's the WAR, what's all these other new.
Exactly, and I think Omar is probably suffering for some of the ways that they look at the game now.
Right.
Because if you look at his hits, he had 2,800.
Yep.
His Gold Gloves.
11.
One of the dominant, obviously one of the great defensive players to ever play baseball's hardest position,
Right.
I think. On that criteria alone, I think he's a Hall of Fame worthy candidate.
The problem with that is that, I mean, I would just say if Ozzie Smith made it, Omar Vizquel makes it. Then you look and Alan Trammell makes it, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, and when you look back at that era, Les, was Omar one of the top shortstops of his generation? Top 2 or 3? Probably not.
Defensively?
Well, I'm just saying shortstop.
Okay.
Total package.
You had the home run guys.
Yeah, so you had a lot of more offense at the position when he was there. Now, why did you have a lot more offense? Was it because some guys were using stuff to help them recover? Do we know that he wasn't? I assume he wasn't, but it's a very confusing time. I think he's one of those guys. He got 37% of the vote last year. Bob Costas brought up something that I hadn't thought of. He thinks that if 4 or 5 maybe of these guys this year get in, that it will help some candidates over the next few years because there'll be a dearth of worthy candidates.
Right.
It'll be Jeter, and then there's like kind of a black hole, not a black hole, but there's a drop-off after Jeter.
Right, so if Omar can just improve a little bit each year.
And he's got 8 more years to do it,
Yeah.
I believe, right? So I think he will eventually get in.
All right, we asked our Facebook people who they thought should be inducted into the Hall of Fame, which will be announced shortly. Who do you think should be inducted? Well, you take a look at that. You got Glenn Berger. He says right off the bat, Omar Vizquel. Then you go to Dan Macy. Omar Vizquel should be in there. Mark Jelisek. No one before Bonds and Clemens. Then maybe Rivera. Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Good. I think that's an argument that has been around for a long, long time. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at our email address, which is reallesLevine@gmail.com. And let's take a look at our headlines for the night, brought to you by Northfield Park. Hall of Fame announcement tonight. We'll get that as soon as it's made. Tony Manzolino has been established as the new manager for the Columbus AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Indians. Now it's time to get going with opening comments. To start us off, here is Bud Shaw, WKYC.com.
All right, Les, I'm going to do an ad lib, but I'll keep it here just in case.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a theory about this outcry over the overtime rules in the NFL, and my theory is that it's a big deal today because it benefited the team that nobody wanted to see win. You can't tell me that if KC won the toss in overtime, Mahomes marched him down the field, that there would be as many people today saying, but one of the great quarterbacks of all time never got the ball in his hand. Something must change. I think this was all about the Patriots and it benefiting him. Let's look at what happened during the regular season with the Browns. How many overtime games did they play? You know this. 4.
I was going to say 5.
Okay. In each of those games, both teams possessed it. Why? Because they weren't good enough to score the first time. The Browns ended up winning the toss in 3 of those 4. Maybe that's why I never heard anybody reacting that way during the Browns season, that these rules must change. And I think the only reason we're hearing it today again is because smug Tom Brady got the last laugh.
Maybe so, but and by the way, the percentage of how many times the team that wins the toss goes right ahead and scores on the first time isn't as high as you'd think.
No, it's only like 56 or 54 or something like that. And listen, in the Saints game, who won the overtime toss? The Saints.
The Saints.
I mean, do you just, you don't, have to play any deep. You don't get credit for stopping the other team, or I should put it the other way. You don't have a responsibility to stop the other team. They had Brady 3rd and 10 3 times in that period.
But when you look at it,
they never got to him. They never hit him.
But you're not. And
no, they did hit him once.
Well, the one referee,
but not very hard.
One referee. How do they not pick up the flag on that one?
I don't know. You know, the end of the Rams-Saints game is another topic, and there's something interesting about this call for review of those plays late in the game, which I don't want to get in the way of your opening comment, because I know
I'm the self-proclaimed voice of truth.
You've spent a lot of time preparing this.
That may not be true, but I am still the defending voice of truth and self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Cleveland sports. Obviously, people want to talk about football for what Bud's talking about here. A lot of stuff to chew on here. Is who made who? Did Brady make Belichick? Did Belichick make Brady? I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that in the next week or so as we head up to the Super Bowl. So I do want to put my attention to the Baseball Hall of Fame announcement that'll come up shortly, and we'll have it for you here. I think I live by this theory in baseball anyway, that you look at a player and you know he's a Hall of Famer or he's not a Hall of Famer. You don't have to have the stats to look at. You just know who is it that is the best of the era of when they played. And to me, and I'm a homer, no question about it, but to me, there's nothing more enjoyable than watching Omar Vizquel play baseball. The sheer joy that he put into it. And then you put the numbers in, 2,800 hits, and I know he had a lot of years, 24 years, and he did it in both leagues. And hopefully the National League people who voted will take a look at Omar, even though they got him at the end of his career. I just never saw a better player defensively, and as Bud suggested a moment ago, defense is half of the game. It's great to have home runs. It's great to have RBIs. Omar turned himself into a real good hitter. He wound up being the second batter in that lineup, with which if they had won a World Series or two, it would have been better than the Murderers Row. It would have been better than you'd be talking about it instead of the 27 New York Yankees. Unfortunately, the Indians didn't pull it off and get it. But Omar Vizquel, number one, gave me more joy than any player that I can remember. Bud, can you remember anybody in that category?
No, those years that Omar and Robbie Alomar played together, it was like going to a baseball ballet on a nightly basis. It was a terrific draw and an unbelievable
and I know Indians fans love Omar Vizquel, and when you talk to people from out of town, they say, well, he wasn't that good. Really? Tell me what part of his game wasn't that good. He batted second in that unbelievable order and just made more plays than I've seen anybody ever make. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He won't get it tonight, but hopefully he'll get enough to keep on the ballot. And as Bud says, he's got 8 years to do it. That's a guy who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, is with us. Andy Baskin tomorrow night, and Dennis Maniloff on Thursday. We're seeing More Sports, and Les Levine is seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery, Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Let's check out birthdays for today. Joe Perry, San Francisco 49er, great running back. 1947, Just a Minute was born on that day. Lester Hayes, Sean Figgins, Ubaldo Jimenez, and Greg Oden, when he can play, seen on the left in the Ohio State uniform.
I hated watching Ubaldo Jimenez pitch.
Why?
He was frustrating. You never knew what you were going to get from start to start with him, and he just took forever on the mound.
Didn't the ball look bigger when he threw it than other pitches?
To hitters, yeah, it did.
the balloon effect. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. But I've been doing this for a lot of years. I've never had a call from Birmingham, Alabama that I know of.
I'm going to predict that it's somebody who knows Freddie Kitchens.
Well, let's find out. Brendan, go ahead. You're on More Sports Les Levine. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Les and Bud, how's it going? It was actually that's one of your stalkers. Me and my brother Evan used to come watch you at BW3 and
excellent
and
nice.
Opera House.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I just moved to Birmingham a year and a half ago, so I'm happy to see that. I can watch on cleveland.com. So
that's
thank
great.
you for making that happen.
That's a great endorsement.
I worked in Atlanta for 6 years and used to go to Birmingham often for Auburn, Alabama, and other things, and Tuscaloosa, back when I was still eating barbecue. They had a great place there called Dreamland Barbecue, if you get a chance.
All right, Brendan.
We have one in Birmingham, so I've been there a few times.
Okay.
It's good barbecue.
Okay. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to the Senior Bowl on Saturday. Me and the wife are driving down, and I just want to know what players I should be looking at that could potentially be drafted by the Browns.
You're in the right place. Bud, tell them who they should be looking at. Well, I'll tell you what. It's good, Brendan, that it's different this year. You know, you're looking at. You're not looking for a quarterback. You're not looking for the top pick in the draft. Now you're going to find out. John Dorsey, of course, is going to be drafting from a different position, and that'll be interesting to keep his eye on. I think at this point, I've always said that they should always pick the best Buckeye available. That's number one.
But there's only one. There's only one this year. I looked at the roster.
Okay.
A wide receiver.
But that being said, now they're in a position, but I don't think they've ever been in since they came back in '99. And that is they can take the best player available, which I don't think they've been in that position to do that.
Do you have the list there? Does it say who the quarterbacks are that are going to be there?
I don't have it in front of me. I know Drew Lock's going to be there, the quarterback from West Virginia, the quarterback, I believe, from Northwestern.
Yeah.
And a few. I think there's 8 quarterbacks. I don't have the list in front of me right now.
Yeah, I just heard Dustin Fox on doing a remote from down there. And he was, half joking about the fact that because they don't draft till 17 and they have their quarterback, that there's been a lot less buzz about what's going on with some of the players there.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He and who else was on with him? Albert Breer, I believe, who are following this stuff a lot more closely than I am. Say they're going to be watching for the Browns. They're going to be watching defensive linemen and wide receivers.
And that'll determine what they're going to do, not so much draft-wise, but what positions they're going to look for in free agency.
Yeah, I really think they feel that they have. I mean, they just got gouged in that Baltimore game by obviously an unorthodox offense, but still, their defense against the run this year was not very good. They were 30th in the league. That sort of got clouded a little bit by Greg Williams becoming head coach.
Right.
Is that, the defensive coordinator, guy who used to be the defensive coordinator, now he's the head coach and they're winning. But they weren't playing very good defense, I didn't think, toward the end. And so I would expect in the first round especially that's where they're going to go.
Hey, Brendan, do me a favor. After you watch them when we get back next week, give us a call. Let us know who you saw, what you saw that maybe snuck through and the other reports didn't get to us, okay?
Well, I hope hope I can see Freddie Kitchens and John Dorsey and get a picture, and if I do, I'll send it to you on Facebook.
That'll be great. Thanks so much.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say they're both going to be in sweatshirts or hoodies.
The Dog Pound hoodie and the Cleveland Browns. Hey, Brendan, thanks so much for calling. 216. Thank you. Well, that's pretty far away. It's not like where we got the call last week from, where did I just tell you?
Singapore.
Singapore. And somebody says, you mean Sagamore Hills, don't you? So, no, Singapore, the real Singapore.
You are, the real Les Levine is international.
Exactly. 216-575-0403. Sandy Alomar is getting an award at the Greater Cleveland Sports Awards coming up in early February. There you go, Indians catcher from 1990 to 2000. And there you see his stats, AL Rookie of the Year. And he's been coaching with the Indians, coaching first base for Terry Francona since 2010. Wow, almost. Really?
Almost 10. It'll be coming up on 10 years soon.
Wow. 216-575-0403. Email us during the show at realeslevine@gmail.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. You can catch the excitement of live harness racing Monday through Wednesday, as well as Saturday evening. 6 p.m. is the post time. Open early at noon, though, for simulcast action every day from the top thoroughbred and harness tracks all around the world. Free handicapping contests all weekend long, including the popular Road to the Derby contest on Saturdays. It's free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Bud Shaw and I return in a moment right here exclusively on cleveland.com.
Your basement is damp, dirty, and not somewhere you want to spend time. Let Nature Stone Flooring transform your basement into a true extension of your home. Nature Stone's proprietary hydrostatic ports allow water to simply evaporate, so no mold or mildew. Plus, it has a higher insulation rating than carpet and is warmer than linoleum, vinyl, wood, or tile.
Schedule your free in-home estimate easily online today and get up to 50% off. Nature
Stone is the affordable basement floor solution that beautifies your home. Nature Stone, the only concrete solution.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Tuesday night. Somebody called this in on radio with me the other day. How come there are fingertips but no toe tips, but you can tiptoe? Now that's the essence of a quickie.
Because it's quick.
It's quick, and you have to think about it, and it's true.
You don't have to think about it.
Well, you don't have to, really. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, we got it. The Hall of Fame has made their announcement. 4 inductees to this year's Hall of Fame class. Let's take a look at, the obvious one. Mariano Rivera pitched for the Yankees, 95-13 ML record, 652 career saves, 13-time All-Star. Played his entire career with the New York Yankees. Congratulations to him. The late Roy Halladay, killed in a plane crash. Pitched for the Blue Jays and the Phillies. Pitched a perfect game May 29th, 2010 versus the Marlins. He was an 8-time All-Star. You're not surprised at that, are you?
I'm not.
All right, let's continue on. Edgar Martinez, who seemed to hit 950 against the Indians. DH and third baseman, not a very good third baseman for the Mariners. 1987 to 2004, career average of .312 and an 8-time All-Star. And then Mike Mussina polishes it off, pitched for the Orioles and the Yankees, and 270 wins and a 5-time All-Star. So congratulations to all 4. Do you have a problem with any of those?
No, I don't. The 300-win thing is not, is outdated anymore.
Right.
Nope, but 270 is pretty darn impressive.
I heard Boomer Esiason say that Mel Stottlemyre passed away over the weekend, and I think he had 160 wins or so. He said he was the pitching coach for 5 championship teams, and he felt with 164 wins he should have been in the Hall of Fame. That's not possible, is it?
No, that's not possible. You know, I don't want to make this into a New York, view of the world, but I remember getting calls from New York writers back when Mattingly was on the ballot for the first time, and that was back when I was still voting, and they asked, what do you think of his candidacy? And I, flippantly, half kiddingly, I said, if he were playing in Kansas City, nobody would be asking this. And the guy was like, well, yeah, I guess, okay. So I think I was quoted in a New York paper saying that, but that's how I feel sometimes about things that happen in New York. And not that there aren't incredible players. I mean, Jeter is obviously a Hall of Famer, but some of those, I think the hype of those careers and the fact that some of those guys were on title teams ends up boosting maybe their individual
and all
candidacy.
That. Well, here, let's go one step further here. You talk about New York and pumping a guy up. Phil Rizzuto is in the Hall of Fame. He was a good shortstop with the great teams with Mantle and Maris, and although maybe not with Maris at that point, but he played many years for the Yankees and then became the voice of the Yankees for some 30 years. That's a high-profile job. And a guy like, earlier I said, if you think Ozzie Smith is good enough to be in, Omar should be in. Well, certainly, to me, if you have Phil Rizzuto in there, Omar Vizquel is a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I think we said before the break, Les, that Omar had 37% of the vote last year, and I haven't yet seen the figures on how they fell. I would bet that he'll be a little bit above that, but not a lot.
Well, because
there were so many
four
other
guys got in.
There were so many other worthy candidates. But as Costas pointed out, next year we were looking at Jeter. Then when people start looking around at the other names on the list, they'll start maybe research. Not that they don't do their research, but they'll start looking for, they'll be more open to the idea of these guys as Hall of Fame worthy.
And it's also interesting that the difference of opinion of guys like you and me who saw Omar play every day versus the guy. I mean, if the guy's got 11 Gold Gloves, that tells you all you need to know, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a joy to watch.
All right. Speaking of a joy to watch, maybe the Browns will be a joy to watch. They certainly were at the end of the year this year. Let's take a look at what Las Vegas thinks about what Bud dropped.
That wasn't anything important.
All right, here we go. The Westgate Las Vegas Superbook says the Rams are a 6-1 choice next year. This is to get to the Super Bowl, or to win the Super Bowl, followed by the Chiefs and the Saints. Patriots at 10-1. And the Chargers and Bears at 12-1, Steelers 14-1, Vikings and Packers at 16-1, Eagles, Cowboys, Ravens, and Colts at 20-1, and the Browns at 30-1, which makes them, if you look at that, Bud, and I don't know how much emphasis you put on that, but they are the 7th favorite team in the AFC, which puts them right on the bubble. 6 teams, of course, make it, and I think that's going to be they're going to be the cool team to watch, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's so early. You don't know what these teams are going to do, obviously, in the draft and free agency and all, but they certainly have the capacity with $80 million in salary cap and 11 picks to improve themselves greatly. I would be surprised if they're not better than the 7th team in the AFC next year.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us, WKYC.com. Wednesday night, Andy Baskin of 92.3 The Fan, and on Thursday, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff from The Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. We'll take a break. We'll come on back to your phone calls. One line's open if you'd like to get in, 216-575-0403. You see us, More Sports and Les Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com.
You didn't think...
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
It takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling to bring the heat when things get chilly. Find us at 440-449-HEAT.
Let's check out this date in history. How about this, Bud? January 22nd, 1951. Pitching prospect Fidel Castro was ejected from a winter league game for hitting a batter. When he didn't pitch, he was a far right he was a far right fielder.
I think it should be far left fielder.
Well, I think, yeah. Well,
I guess it depends on your
lefty-righty theory.
Yeah.
Very far left.
Very good one. I like it.
So is he far left or far right?
It depends on your political persuasion.
All right. Well, speaking of persuasion, a lot of people persuaded to fight. You've got first time in history. Tell us what happened here.
You know, sometimes in these balloting, you get writers, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying that they think that, you know, nobody should be a unanimous pick because
and they're going to save the
Ruth
world from
wasn't
that.
or whatever. You know.
Right.
So for the first time in 83 years, Mariano Rivera was named on all 425 ballots. Never happened before. Roy Halladay, who was a first year on the ballot, got in as a first-time eligible player. And the other one was Edgar Martinez, running out of time.
He had one more year, didn't he?
10th and final year was this year, and he got in.
All right, we still don't have numbers.
I'm not sure
stats.
exactly where I'm most interested in where Vizquel, whether his boat got lifted even a little bit more this year.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Concord, where Devon is standing by. If he can get out of the snow. What did you have, like 12 feet of snow out there?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We got a little over a foot. Yeah, it wasn't like last year. You know, my wife's from Erie, and we went out there for Christmas.
Oh, they got slammed, right?
And you just got back.
You just got back 2 nights ago.
5 feet last year.
I have when I see that, I said this the other night, when I see that the snow belt will get a certain amount of snow, I say, somebody will say, where's the snow belt? I say, well, where my nephew Brett lives. When they say snow belt, they mean his house.
They must. Is he in Chardon?
Yeah.
No, he's in
Concord.
Concord.
Whatever estimates you see.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
What's up?
I mean, so, you know, Mariano Rivera getting 100%. So, what, Babe Ruth and Cobb weren't worthy on the first time around? I mean, what guy said, nah, not him?
I don't know. Now, that's what I figure with these new stats that they have, and they make them up so that the smart guys look better. And we're going to find out if they take a look at all of Babe Ruth's stats, they're going to find out he wasn't that good.
His launch angle went down late in his career.
But his lunch angle was good because he put on weight.
I mean, the guy would have made a Hall of Fame on his pitching credentials.
Yeah,
probably.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And then,
well, then some writer takes over the cause and says, "Oh, I gotta not vote for this guy because you don't want him to be unanimous." So, I don't know.
And the same things with the NFL thing. Like that whole Hall of Fame thing's got to change. You got to get more players, I guess, to vote. Because, I mean, I remember Peter King said Art Monk shouldn't make it in the Hall of Fame and give me one signature catch he's ever made. I mean, so then that Tyree guy from the Giants should be in that.
Yeah,
he made the greatest signature
went on his
catch of all time.
Went on his helmet.
You know, I mean, and then like.
Well, football's.
Under Steve Largent, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but football's.
There's a delay. I don't mean to talk over you.
Okay, football's different because I don't think most people can look at a lineman. Other than longevity, it's tough to tell a lineman how good they are for guys like me and Bud. I'm speaking for myself. I'll tell you, Bud can tell. I can't.
I know what you mean, but
you got to go by. You got to go by how they did in their era, what other people said about them, as opposed to the stats that differentiate guys in baseball.
Well, which brings me back, you got to get more players and coaches involved in the voting process rather than having someone that's never, because like Eric Coryell is not in, and Marv Levy is. I mean, Marv Levy was running the wishbone with the Chiefs. He gets Jim Kelly, give him credit. He let Jim
but
Kelly
he
run
also
the K-gun,
he also went to four.
Deal, right?
Also went to 4 Super Bowls, which has to count for a lot.
Yeah, but that's Kelly running that offense. That was he literally called audibles. There was no play calls. It was him.
Yeah.
And then you get Eric Coryell, who Joe Gibbs said showed him everything. I mean, he literally created an offensive system that the NFL still uses today. Yeah, he never won a bowl, but I mean,
that was all Dan Fouts.
Yeah, what about Jim Hart with the Cardinals? He did pretty good over there.
No, I know, you're right. I was out there. I covered Coryell's teams in San Diego.
Yeah, I know. Fouts, when I was growing up, was probably my favorite QB.
Yeah.
Love that guy. Hey, but you guys are talking about, the chicken or the egg, the Belichick Brady thing. I would agree that it's Brady if he was the Elway of the draft. The guy that can't miss, stud, you got to get him. Belichick kept 4 quarterbacks that one year, and their quarterback coach died of a heart attack Brady's rookie year, so Belichick became the quarterback coach. Yeah. And he never dressed them.
All right, so hold on.
So comes in and plays.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that Belichick would have won with other quarterbacks, but Brady might not have won with other coaches?
Yes, because that first Super Bowl, that they won, he throws for 134 yards. He was a game manager, and no one talks about the special teams that he has every year. They never make mistakes, and they're always the best. And after they went for 4th and 1 and they missed it, everyone thinks, hey, KC runs the clock out. They went 3 and out.
Yeah.
Which they gave him the ball back.
We never saw Brady without Belichick. We did see Belichick without Brady one year.
Right.
And he went 11-5, I believe, right?
Yeah, with that stud Matt Castle.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really matter because they're kind of, but people that hate Belichick think it's Brady. It's just, and that's just going to be how it is. It's never going to change.
I think it's Belichick.
Somebody told me that Brady has the body of an accountant.
I know. Really. And they have no players. Like, who's Burkhead? Who's that running back?
Burkhead. Yeah, well, he goes, yeah.
And Hogan,
how about, look what he did. Yeah, but look what he turned Julian Edelman into.
Right, and he's the same guy that was Troy Brown at the beginning of Belichick's career. That was then Wes Welker later on, and now it's Edelman. And he'll find some other guy when Edelman starts blowing out hamstrings.
How about this? Josh Gordon, they lose Josh Gordon. It doesn't affect them in any way.
It doesn't matter at all. That one year they won against Atlanta, they had Hogan, Edelman, and Amendola as a starting wideouts.
Yeah.
You talk about nobodies. And he rotates often. It doesn't. He's such a curmudgeon that no one gives him the true credit that he should know. If he was out and he had a good personality and all that good stuff, then he'd be getting more credit. But it's just never going to happen because he just doesn't care about that.
No, he cares about winning. But the record sometimes, and this might be from somebody who was not fond of Belichick when he was here. But you look at the record because Pete Carroll got stupid one day and threw a pass from the 1-yard line. Brady gets credited with a come-from-behind win. That may not be right.
No, and if Tyree doesn't make that catch, he's got to win there.
Yeah, it evens off.
It does.
Yeah, it doesn't. Each game like it is what it is, right? Still though. I just think, and even Brady said this after he won that Super Bowl the first year. He said, if I would have been drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, I'd probably be out of the league by now.
Good point.
It's a great point.
All right, Devin, we got to go. Appreciate the call as always. Stay warm if you can. 216-575-0403, Sokolowski's University Inn. Nothing better than that. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski, they've been doing it from the same location where their grandparents started it all back in 1923. They turned it into a place where they've won the James Beard Foundation Award. Only 5 in the country get it each and every year. They won it about 3 years ago, and I believe the only Cleveland restaurant to ever receive it. Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant, Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn, 11 to 3 Monday through Friday, and Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. Bud, you're going to enjoy this date in Les Levine history when we get back.
We'll see about that.
Well, no, you will. I know you will. Right here on cleveland.com, Les Levine with Bud Shaw.
The concrete in your garage is uneven, cracked, pitted, and just plain ugly. Transform your garage into a welcoming entryway with Nature Stone flooring. Reduce tracked-in dirt, eliminate puddling and salt damage. Plus, Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping.
Call or go to naturestone.com to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get up to 50% off.
Nature Stone is the affordable garage floor solution that beautifies your home. Nature Stone, the only concrete solution.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
But I know you're going to like this. This date in Les Levine history, 1964. Les is named Brush High Player of the Week for his foul shooting defense in a win over Shaker Heights.
What'd you say to the guy at the line? Miss it. That was it?
I don't remember. But that should have, you know.
It's a
you
skill
got
like anything else.
Absolutely, no question about it. Patricia Trocchio sends me a note that Omar came in 9th. That's not so good, but he did get 42.8% in the voting. That pushes him up a little bit.
Well, it looks like it's a long way, right? Because they need 75% of the vote to get
correct.
in.
I think I read that if everybody who's gotten at least 50 has gotten in.
Yeah, I think if you look back, and I don't have it right in front of me, but I'd be interested to know what Edgar Martinez got in his first year on the ballot.
Oh, good point.
You know, then we'll see where he ended up 10 years later.
Let's go to Akron. Mark is standing by. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Full disclosure, Mark Bona, cleveland.com,
hey,
colleague of the esteemed Bud Shaw. How are you guys?
How are you?
No, it's the steamed Bud Shaw.
What's going on?
Great topic today, and about a week ago I had to interview Kenny Lofton for a story, and I really dug in and looked at his statistics. So I have to ask, I know he's ineligible because he didn't get the requisite 5% early on. I don't know when Veterans Association kicks in on him and other players, but why is Kenny Lofton not considered? Would you consider him to be Hall of Fame caliber? You're looking at a guy who has a 299 average, over 2,400 hits in his career, 160 stolen bases, and a rare triple hitter as well.
And
weigh in on that.
Most importantly, he was held up at third base by Joel Skinner.
He would have had one more run.
He would have had one more. I'll talk about it till I'm not doing it anymore. All right. I think first of all, he played for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And he played a lot of playoff games. He made one of the greatest catches ever, if you want to count that, when he climbed the wall at Progressive Field. But I don't think anybody knew that much about him.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he was, to me, and this is probably going to shock people, and it really was nothing personal. But the year that Albert had his 50-50 season, I thought that Lofton was the MVP of that team. And I know that sounds crazy.
It does.
But if you look back at what he did for that offense that year, he was remarkable. So you're probably asking the wrong guy, Mark, because I thought he had Hall of Fame. I'm not saying he should have gotten in, but I'm surprised that more people haven't looked at the entirety of his career and saw what a phenomenal talent he was.
Hey,
and
Mark,
I'll never forget, and I know that play in Seattle in '95 was the most electrifying thing I've seen on a baseball field.
Scoring from second base on a pass ball, right?
Right.
I wonder if he get Mark.
You mentioned Phil Rizzuto, because being a broadcaster, I think, got him in the Hall. I mean, you're looking at a guy who had a relatively short career at around 12 or 13 seasons, and it really wasn't. He played on some great teams, but is he really Hall of Fame caliber?
No, I don't think so. But 30 years as an announcer in New York gets you some cachet, I believe. But that's a better argument to me for Omar Vizquel. The other thing about Lofton is I'm wondering if he gets hurt because he wasn't the best player on those teams of the 90s. As good as he was, you still had Albert, you still had Manny. Maybe that, he wasn't a standout, I guess.
That's probably as good a piece of logic as anything else.
Well, he was also an outfielder who didn't hit for power. What did you, in looking at his numbers, do you know what his high was in RBI and home run?
By season or career?
Just by season, like his best season.
I bet you he might not have had 20. I bet you he didn't have 20 anytime.
What was that, Les?
I bet you he didn't have more than 20 or 22 home runs in any given year. I could be wrong about that, but
no, you're right about that. He was never a big power guy. As a matter of fact, he only had 15 was his career high that came in 2000. He was not an all-star that year, but he had 15 home runs then, and RBI, also relatively low. I mean, you're looking at 781 career RBI, so nothing tremendous there either.
And what would have been his best season RBI-wise, Mark?
Best season RBI for Lofton was also 2000 when he had 73 RBI.
Wow. All right, Mark, we're going to cut out the middleman here. We're going to get you up here on the show instead of on the phone one of these days.
Sounds good. Guys, I enjoy the show. Keep it up.
Great to hear from you. Thank you. Good to hear from you.
I know you are taken aback that I thought Lofton was the MVP of that season. But
yeah, you're talking about a historic season with Albert.
Maybe it was a little personal. You know what I think we're going to see, what we're seeing in the Hall of Fame voting right now, I think we're, as far as people not liking somebody,
right?
I think Curt Schilling is that guy. I think he has Hall of Fame numbers. I think
maybe so.
He's a guy who will get in over the next couple years, but he's got that animosity factor going for him right now. Not quite like Albert did with writers individually, but it's still there.
Let's take a listen to Larry Drew talking about his Cavaliers, who lost again yesterday. What, 15 of 16 now? Is that what that is?
Or 16 of 17.
It's something like that. Let's listen in on Larry Drew.
Early I can see that they didn't have their legs. They wasn't able to get it going. I don't know how much I will contribute that to road fatigue, but clearly we didn't have the zap. We didn't have the energy. I thought throughout the game, I really thought at some point that it would kick in, but we did not have it. I thought our bench guys came in that second quarter and kind of gave us a little bit of a spark, but we weren't able to sustain it. How much of that was from the road as the fatigue, I don't know. But as I said, we won't use it as a crutch. Chicago came in here and did what they had to do.
He seems like such a good guy, put it in an impossible position. Last 17 games, Cavaliers 1-16, losing by an average of 17 points there, almost 17 points, out-rebounded by 7. I don't know. I don't know what to even look for in these stats.
Well,
you got Sexton.
They're creeping up in blocks per game. How's that?
Sexton had 18 points the other night, starting point guard, and no assists. How is that possible?
He's one of those guys that is point guard, and he has a point guard's body, and he's a scorer otherwise.
Right.
He doesn't make the guys around him any better. I think this is why some veterans were frustrated with him early on.
Yeah.
And he's 19 years old on a disaster of a team. It's probably not going to get better for him this year.
216-575-0403 is the number to call if you want to get in before the show ends in another segment or so. You can do that. You can catch the simulcast racing out of Northfield Park. You can also it's also your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement Monday through Wednesday, as well as Saturday evening, 6 p.m. post time, open early every day for simulcast action from the top thoroughbred and harness tracks all around the world. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. Bud and I return one more time. Tomorrow night, Andy Baskin. Then on Thursday, it'll be the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. We're seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
When my dad started Nature Stone, he created a solution for age-old concrete problems: unevenness, cracking, pitting, and more. Nature Stone solves all of these problems in garages, basements, and outdoor spaces. Nature Stone is beautiful, environmentally friendly, and affordable. Plus, Nature Stone is backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty.
Call or go to naturestone.com to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get up to 50% off.
Nature Stone, the only concrete solution.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Tomorrow night, Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan, will join us. And then Thursday, it'll be Dennis Maniloff. You see us live on cleveland.com Monday through Thursday from 6 until 7. Then you can archive us and find us all over the place on cleveland.com. You also can use Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports Les Levine with new content posted each and every day. Talk about full disclosure. Our producer, director, tremendous guy, Mike Bacon, says, I thought Bud had as good a chance as Messina to make the Hall.
270 wins, Dave?
Right.
Dave's not impressed by that?
No, Mike.
Mike's not impressed by that?
Apparently not. Joe B. in Westlake has a How Come Quickie. You ready for this?
Okay.
How come I always wanted to be a Gregorian monk, but I never got the chance?
I just saw that on the internet. I think
is that right?
This is theft by finding, they call it.
Theft by finding.
That's the name of a David Sedaris book. I think that's what happened. I just saw that on the internet yesterday.
Are you accusing Joe B. in Westlake of whatever?
I am. No, I'm not accusing. I'm just
suggesting.
Maybe
he had it first.
You know, this is a... Can we talk a little bit about the NFL before we leave tonight?
Yeah, and then we'll get to Dick and Dayton in a moment.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dick and Dayton.
No, go ahead.
I want to make this point. There's a big move on right now to have these calls reviewed. Right? Pass interference in particular.
Didn't you think that was reviewable when it happened, or it should have been?
Yeah, but even as the league is talking about reviewing pass interference calls, there's no mechanism to review the non-call. It would be like reviewing the non-hold.
Right.
You know, you can't do it. So they've got to figure out.
Well, in that play,
I think it's going to take more than review. How?
There's got to be a buzzer to say, hey, you idiots down
there.
Well,
I know, but there's going to take more than review because there's still going to be a limit on when they can use. Yeah. They can use review on something where a flag is thrown, but if it's not thrown and it's an obvious miss that changes a game, there's got to be something that allows New York to say,
and if
we're calling a conference, an on-field conference with
get
officials,
together and figure it out.
Get together and ask everybody what they saw.
Right. Well, the answer was nothing. But
somebody had to see something. The guy who made that non-call had the worst vantage point.
Yeah, but you're telling me there's 7 refs on. There's 7 referees.
I know.
On
I'm
the
saying somebody else did.
No,
I'm saying some other ref did.
Are they afraid of each other?
I don't know if they have the opportunity or the mechanism in place.
They got to
get together and say, "Wait, we're changing that."
You can't have a game like that decided by that call. I know that people say, "Well, they could have scored more points. They could have done this. They could that." And one bad call doesn't change the game. Yeah, at that time it did because you take 3 knees and the ball game's over.
Yeah, and you kick what we assume is going to be a very short field goal to win.
Let's go to Dick and Dayton. Dick, good evening. Thanks for waiting.
Les, how are you?
I'm well, Dick. How are you?
I'm good. I was telling your screener, my family was all from Wellington, Ohio, and I've been a devoted Browns. My dad came down here to work and grew up watching the Browns, you know, when Gig was doing the radio broadcast, and I just, you know, love the Ohio broadcast team up there. A true fan, Les.
Well, you know, we talked about this last week, that there's so many fans, whether it was Henry Aaron or Condoleezza Rice, because when you think about it, back in the 60s, there was no Cincinnati Bengals. There was no, I don't believe there was Atlanta. Was there Atlanta at that time?
Late 60s.
No,
Late 60s. So that's why the Browns became...
Our first, you know, the Browns were the first franchise here in Ohio.
Right.
The Bengals came in 70.
Right. Well, the Browns were the favorite for much of the country, because when you look at the map of the United States, there weren't, from Cleveland down to even Florida.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that story of guys in that generation. What surprised me was to hear Freddie Kitchens, who was much younger, 44 years old. So they had talk about watching the Browns on Sundays.
Yeah.
He must mean in those playoff games in the 80s, right?
I'm assuming he's talking about the drive and the fumble and all that.
That's what I think.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
Who my favorite announcer of the Browns was? I don't know if you knew him very well, Les. He worked at 5 with Gib Shanley. Ned Chandler was my favorite.
Yeah, they were all good. And
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you, Dick. Appreciate it very much.
Okay, have a great day.
I'll do that. You too. Have a great day.
I can't help but have a great day. He sounded very upbeat.
Dick in Dayton.
I'm not used to. If you listen to most callers,
you know what we got to do? We got to get a map of the United States, and as people call it, well, Dayton, of course, is Ohio, but
why limit it to the
Birmingham,
United States, Les?
Apparently not.
If you're getting calls from Singapore, you know what I'm saying?
We just sling that call.
I remember being in the Atlanta Indians World Series in '95.
Right.
And we know what was happening at that time, right? The Browns were about ready to leave.
Yeah.
And I remember this being a beautiful Sunday morning, and I went to a Browns backers bar there. And cars were going by the window with kayaks on the roof. They're all heading to the Chattahoochee River to enjoy this picture-perfect day. And 300 of the most miserable Browns fans that you could ever want to talk to were sitting in there watching the whatever game it was for a team they knew was leaving town.
It's unbelievable. All right, we are done. You'll be with us again next Tuesday night, I assume.
Can't wait. I may not even go home.
All right, that'll do it for us. Andy Baskin tomorrow night, Dennis Maniloff on Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow at 6. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.